Continuing now with our post-debate coverage, it was clear to anyone inside that raucous Quicken Loans arena last night, Ohio Governor John Kasich had a big home court advantage. The local crowd treated him somewhat like LeBron James. The governor got into the Republican race late in the game, and it was a big if whether he'd even make it into the big primetime debate. But will this exchange endear him to Republican voters or turn them away?
Governor Kasich, if you had a son or daughter who was gay or lesbian, how would you explain to them your opposition to same-sex marriage?
Well, look, I'm an old-fashioned person here, and I happen to believe in traditional marriage. But I've also said the court has ruled.
But how would you explain to your child?
Megan, the court has ruled, and I said we'll accept it. And guess what? I just went to a wedding of a friend of mine who happens to be gay. Because somebody doesn't think the way I do doesn't mean that I can't care about them or I can't love them. So if one of my daughters happened to be that, of course I would love them and I would accept them, because you know what? That's what we're taught when we have strong faith.
Joining me now from Columbus, Ohio, the governor of that state, Governor Kasich. Governor, welcome. There were other candidates on that stage who were calling for a constitutional amendment banning same-sex marriage. Is it taking a political risk among conservatives to say, as you did, the court has spoken?
Well, Chris, look, I mean, the court has spoken, and that's it. I think to drag this on any longer doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And this is just one of many issues that, frankly, divides the country. And, you know, look, I was in Congress when we actually got along. I mean, I worked with Democrats I didn't agree with maybe 90% of the time, but every once in a while I'd find things that I agreed with them on. And I think we all need to learn to respect one another and respectfully disagree. And there's no other way we're going to fix this country unless we figure out a way to respect one another and unite ourselves. All this division only makes us weaker. So it doesn't mean I have to agree with somebody else. It just means, though, that hey, you know, respect them and figure out a way to get along.
Governor, I want to talk, following up on that, about another issue, and that is illegal immigration, because when Donald Trump took a very hard-line position talking about criminals, talking about building a big wall, I turned to you because, quite frankly, you have taken a more moderate position. You support earned legal status. You've even said as part of a deal with Democrats to try to get something actually done in Congress, you wouldn't rule out the possibility of a path to citizenship. But when I asked you about that, you focused instead on the idea that Trump had hit a nerve, that, you know, folks want to build a wall. And I guess my question is, why didn't you talk about your more moderate positions on illegal immigration?
Well, I mean, first of all, Chris, I don't support a path to citizenship. I do support legalization, and I do think we ought to build the wall. And once the wall is built, we ought to make it clear that anybody who violates that wall is going to be shipped back. But look, I had limited time, so I didn't want to spend all my time talking about Trump, and I didn't want to spend all my time you know, in some political situation. So I wanted people to know about my record, you know, balancing the federal budget, one of the architects, national security experience. My job as governor of Ohio, balancing budgets, cutting taxes. We're up 350,000 jobs. I mean, people want to know your record. And one of the things I was saying about Donald Trump is he has hit a nerve. People think government doesn't work very well. And so, you know, what I wanted to tell him is I've been in it. And when I've been in it, I've been a problem solver. And I've done it by uniting people and lifting the country, primarily focused on economic growth.
So we've got about a minute left. Were you, in effect, saying to the Trump supporters, hey, look, you may like what he has to say, but I can do what he has been saying?
Well, I will tell you, as you know, Chris, I've always been a guy that's kind of shaken it up. And you know, my father being a mailman and coming from a blue-collar town, I understand people's anxieties. But what I'm saying is that I've got ways I think that I can help to alleviate that. And it's reflected here in Ohio, where I had that, you know, the second greatest electoral victory in modern Ohio time by bringing this state together.
86 of 88 counties. Governor Kasich, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Chris.